Gasoline is proudly brought to you by the following sponsors.
Welcome back to Gasoline, viewers. We're here at the 2012 Picnic at Hanging Rock Car Show. It's a massive event here. Last year there was 3,000 cars here, so we've got a lot to look at. Let's go round and check out some of these cars. Well, viewers, here's a wild ride. We're with Sam and his boys. Sam, tell us a little bit about the car, how you got it, and a little bit about the running gear in this thing, mate. It's a beast.
Yeah. XYGD. It's a 393 stroker, 800 horsepower at the flywheel, 871 supercharged. Yeah, plenty about. The boys have fun in it. They gave me a hand to build it. The little one here underneath the car every night, just about pulling all the wrecked parts out of it and chucking them in the pile heap, just like Pimp My Ride. It was so funny. Yeah, just the look on his face as we were building it. Yeah, it's great.
Well, it's important to teach the younger generation about these muscle cars, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, well, we found the car from some 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid trying to build it. Obviously, it wasn't his era, and he was just making a lot of mistakes, so we took it off him, and here it is today, so 9 months later.
Well, mate, great ride. You know I love XYs. Great talking to you, and enjoy the rest of the show, mate.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Well, have a look at this beautiful Monaro I found here, viewers, belonging to Evan Petridis here and his two young daughters. Tell us a little bit about the car, mate.
Bought the car about 2005 and unrestored, had the original books with it, and we finally got it back to the factory, stripped it down to bare metal. It was an auto when we bought it, and found out it was an original manual. Went to the panel beater, got panel beatered, motor went to the mechanic and brought back to the factory and put it all back together again. Very time consuming, but a lot of fun.
Well, it's a beautiful car, mate. The job you've done is absolutely spectacular. Did you do most of the restoration yourself?
Most of the restoration myself, other than the panel beater and obviously the mechanic. Lots of help from friends, which was great, and obviously the girls too.
Well, it's good to see the kids getting involved, mate. You've done a great job in this car, and great talking to you. Enjoy the rest of the show, mate.
Thanks very much.
Well, there's a bit of Mopar muscle here at Picnic at Hanging Rock, and I never walked past one of these early Barracudas. They're a fantastic looking machine. Under the hood of this car is a very big and angry 440 cubic inch bit of Mopar muscle. They're a great engine, these things. They make a world of torque and they'll pull a house down. You can still get crate engines for them too. I was up at Rocket Industries recently and saw one of those babies on the floor, and you'd be very surprised. They aren't a huge amount of money, and they make a whole heap of power too. Alloy heads, you name it, they've got it. Don't hesitate to stick one of those babies under the bonnet of your Mopar machine. Well, viewers, we're with the man himself, Jim Richards, and his brand new Touring Car Masters AMC Javelin. Great to see you, Jim. Tell us a little bit about the new car, mate.
Well, the new car is, as you say, it's an AMC Javelin. Took us a long time to build it, but we're racing the sprint at the same time. So it took 3 years. We thought it would probably take about 2, but it's came up really, really well. And yeah, the next thing is to put it into a race and see how it goes.
And how do you think it'll compare to the sprint out there? Extra cubic inches, a bit more torque?
Yeah, no, listen, it should be a little bit faster than the sprint, and if it is, that means it'll put us onto the overall pace of JB and Andrew and Glenn and the guys in the big capacity cars. The sprint is always good at some circuits and not too good at others because of its small engine. But this car obviously is a heavier car than the sprint because of its engine size, but it should be more competitive.
And can you tell us a little bit about the running gear in the car, mate?
Running gear has an AMC engine, a 360 AMC engine. It has a 4-speed G-Force NASCAR gearbox, and it has a 9-inch Ford diff in it, but all handmade. In our class, you're allowed to run any 4-speed gearbox and any differential that you can put in under the car, and that's mainly so that the cars become reliable and they're easy to change the components. So that's basically what it is. I mean, the Javelin's won the Trans Am series in America in 71, 72. So, but one of the main reasons why we decided to go with it is because it looks so different to anything else.
And what sort of horsepower does this thing punch out?
In the vicinity of sort of 630, 40 horsepower. Yeah, which is just over 100 horsepower more than the Falcon, but of course it's 180 kilos heavier.
Yep. Well, thanks for talking to us, Jim. It looks like a great car, mate, and I can't wait to see it screaming around out the track.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. And don't forget, viewers, to look up the all-new Shannons Club. Shannons Club is a huge site. It's like a hub for enthusiasts. You jump on there, you can start your own garage, put pictures of your cars up there, stories of your cars, videos, you name it. You'll see people like myself on there, Jim Richards, click onto our garages and check out some of our machines and some of our past machines. It's an incredible site, it's growing every day, so get onto it and have a ball. Well, viewers, here's an extremely rare piece of machinery. Belongs to a friend of mine by the name of Joe. He's a great guy, and he's got a great collection of cars. But this one here would have to be probably the king of his collection. It's a genuine, 250 only ever made, 427 AC Cobra, 1965. It all dates back to the legendary Carroll Shelby, when he got this English AC sports car and put small block V8s in them. They eventually went to this big bad 427 option here and make a lot of power. 430 to 440 horsepower and 480 foot-pound of torque. The cars weigh just over 1,000 kilograms, so you can imagine what a rocket ship these things would be with that big bad engine in them. They're at a 12.3 second quarter mile and shredding the tyres all the way down the strip. This car here was one of the original show cars that was released in the day at the Brussels Motor Show. They actually painted it red for that show, and now it's the original silver that it was when it was actually produced. So a super rare car, and it's great to see it in Australia. What a machine. Check out this absolutely stunning little 1972 LJ XU1 Tirana. There's a bit of a story behind this car. The car actually belonged to a really good friend of mine by the name of Graham Slater. He was an absolute enthusiast to the highest degree, and he loved gasoline also. Sadly, he recently passed away, and he's missed big time, believe me. Anyway, Uncle Phil from Unique Cars magazine took the car off the Slater family to help them out. They've restored this car from the ground up and it looks absolutely superb, I'm sure you'll agree. It's actually the Unique Cars giveaway car. So if you buy a Unique Cars magazine, you get 10 free entries to win this car. Buy a subscription and you get 120 free entries. I can tell you viewers, I'm entered. I'd love to see this thing parked in my shed. Get behind it, you won't regret it. What a beautiful little car and a great tribute to my good friend Graham. Well, we're here with John Hoskins and his absolutely beautiful XA-GT coupe. I'm a bit partial to these things, and so is Michael Curson, the producer. He's actually building an XA four-door sedan. John, Beautiful looking car, mate. Tell us a little bit about it. Where'd you get it from? Tell us about the build. Tell us a little bit about the running gear.
Sure, thanks, Rick. I've had it for 6 years. I spent a lot of money restoring it. It was actually black with a roll cage and a few other bits and pieces in it. It took a while to do, about 3 years. Got some help from a guy up in Lilydale. They do a good job for me. GT Ford Performance has supplied a lot of the parts for me as well, because that's been the hard thing, getting a lot of the original bits and pieces. But it's an original 351 as original GTs were, full numbers matching, so yeah, it's been a great car.
And do you drive it much?
Drive it a bit. It's on club registration, but probably drive it twice a month, 3 times a month at the most, but keep it nice and covered these days. Got to look after them.
Should be a bit of a head turner, wouldn't it?
It is a bit. It's an unusual colour, being shadow grey. There was only 3 of them, so it is an unusual primer. Some people call it undercoat. I call it shadow grey because that's what it should be.
What a rare car, mate. What a beautiful car at that. Thanks for talking to us, John, and enjoy the show.
Enjoying it, thanks. Thank you.
Stay tuned for more Gasolene after the break.
Well, here we are back at Rocket Industries once again, so let's go inside and take a look around. Check out this sweet little crate engine I've found here, this 350 small block Chevy. It consists of a totally brand new from GM short engine and a 4-bolt configuration too. Runs a hydraulic roller camshaft and also runs the Edelbrock ET Street all aluminium cylinder heads. These beautiful looking billet rocker covers here and a great little air gap Edelbrock manifold topped with a 650 Ultra Holy carburettor. This thing makes 350 horsepower plus based on that style of camshaft and is a really drivable all-round engine combination. And look, for the cost of one of these things, you'd be crazy to rebuild your own. By the time you go out and find a block, rebuild it with machine work, it'll go way above the value of this engine here. If you want to go to the next level, you go for something like this baby here. This is a 383 stroker. Still uses that same 4-bolt block, but with more cubic inches. And on top of this thing is AFR alloy cylinder heads, along with a Victor Junior single plane manifold and a 750 4-barrel Holy carburettor. This thing runs a nostalgic style rocker cover in polished alloy, so it's a little bit of a different look. But with 420 plus horsepower and a heap of torque, this will get your car motivated. We're down here with Larry Cogg and his LJ XU1 Tirana. Now, Larry used to do a fair bit of racing back in the early days in his little Mazda RX-3 against my dad, so I've known him for quite a few years. You had a bit of a break from motor racing for a while there, Larry, and I see now you've stepped back into it with this XU1, mate.
Yes, it's sort of getting back to my roots, because before the RX-3 I actually had a Tirana sports sedan.
Once it's in your blood, mate, you can't get it out. And tell us a little bit about the car.
Okay, I've had the car for about a year now. I've had a succession of cars over the last few years and finished up coming back to the good old Aussie model. As I said, back to my roots where I sort of started, and son of a friend of mine who you probably know too, Graham Beaglehole, they built the car. Did a pretty good job of it actually. Pretty impressed with the way the thing goes, and enough grunt, so keeps me on my toes.
Well, mate, you're out there having fun. It's absolutely fantastic talking to you again, mate, and we'll see you at the racetrack soon.
Thanks, Len. See you, mate.
Thanks, mate. Well, we're with Jake Holmes and his absolutely angry-looking HQ two-door Monaro coupe here. Good to talk to you, mate. Tell us a little bit about this beast.
Yeah, I was in a primer and just the shell, and when I got it, all the bits were in the boot. It was advertised trading post. There was a son that was living in a house, and the dad wanted the car gone. So yeah, he had to sell it, and I got it. I had to sort through it all, and yeah, had it on a rotisserie. And
so it's basically a ground-up nut and bolt resto.
Yeah, ground up nut and bolt. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the running gear on the car, mate.
A small block Chev, solid cam, Brodix track 1 heads, Brodix manifold, 825 Demon on it.
Horsepower?
540 at the flywheel.
Only 540. What a weapon.
Yeah, it's not bad, yep.
Thanks for talking to us, Jake. Beautiful car, mate. I'm envious of you. I love these HQ two-doors and enjoy the show.
Excellent, thanks.
Well, you've got to love these Dodge Challengers, this 71 RT 440. She's got the big bad 440 big block under the bonnet, and these things really do haul. They're a very sharp looking car too, I'm sure you'll agree. Probably one of the best looking body styles in this early 70s muscle car period. One of my favourites in this Challenger model range would have to be the Trans Am. The 340 6-pack with the triple 2-barrel carburettor option. They're a great little engine, those things. They used to run them in the Trans Am Racing Series in the US at that time. They're actually brought down to 300 cubic inches, and they rev the absolute daylights out of them, and they sounded fantastic. This thing looks fantastic, and I'd love to have it parked in my shed. Well, viewers, it's time for shock absorbers for Project Warhorse. And we're here at Top Performance in Victoria, the national distributor for Coney. We're using Coney shock absorbers. The name Coney has been around for over 100 years, and they recently celebrated 50 years in Formula One with over 240 Grand Prix victories. They actually won their first World Championship back in 1971 with Jackie Stewart and his very brisk Tyrrell Ford. In recent times, they've actually won races with McLaren Formula One, so they certainly know how to make shock absorbers. A great choice for Project Warhorse. Let's go into Top Performance and their test facility and see how it's all done.
Coney for many years have been involved in motorsport of all forms and all levels, and as a result they've developed a number of different products. We would call them Generation 1 through to about 3, 4 or 5, and so we have a damper like this which is double adjustable, and then we also have a monotube style like this, still double adjustable, and then we have our top of the tree in a sense of multi-adjustable being four-way with high speed and low speed here. But there's always challenges with classic racing, with early production sedans, and you have to weigh up a variety of things in a pragmatic way. So considering budgets, engineering problems, the type of racing, we've chosen the famous 8211 damper, which is this one here. Really rugged, simple, but really user-friendly. It's double adjustable, it's got rebound adjustment in the top, and we'll modify that by putting a pin on it because the Falcon presents a few challenges as far as mounting is concerned. We take the bearing off, and on the bottom we'll mount the typical Falcon mounts like that, very familiar to everybody. We'll weld that on there, and that'll go in nicely in the front of the Falcon. On the back, it's a simple pin mount, so we'll put a pin on the bottom, and again another hollow pin at the top, and that way we can adjust the rebound adjustment through the hollow pin.
With Glenn's shock absorber here, we're running it through a heat cycle to test the fade. We can also work out how much the shock absorber loses its rate after a certain amount of laps. We are also comparing the setting to make sure the valving is correct and going to control the spring rate for the type of tracks that he's going to. Also with the dyno, we can also calibrate and set, and we can also give the customer a dyno printout. We are just making sure that the shock absorber is not going to overheat or cause any failure or alter in its characteristics in any way, so it's basically a simulated test run. It also has the fan here for controlled temperature, therefore we can set it to a temperature that the car is going to run at, and we can tell what valving it's going to have and what sort of fade it's going to have through the valving and the diagnostics. This will also tell us whether the shock absorber is working within its correct range for the correct design or spring rate and the type of car you're using. With Glenn's car, he's using King springs. We are testing the poundage of the spring with the digital load cell so we can manufacture the shock absorber with the correct ratings to control the energy in the spring used in his conditions.
Well, the guys here at Coney have done a fantastic job. Now all I've got to do is take these babies home and bolt them in the car. Have a look at this absolutely spectacular VF Regal Coupe owned by Chris Georgialoudis. This thing is an absolute gem. It's a very, very honest car too. The only thing he's done is painted this beautiful green that was actually brown before. Interesting story with this car. An older gentleman used to live near a wrecking yard in regional Victoria. He saw this car roll into the wrecking yard. They're about to start stripping it and crush it. Can you believe that? Crush this thing. So the older gentleman went in there and said, I'm going to take this car off your hands. So he took it home and parked it in the shed with quite a few other Valiants. Now the nose was just hanging out for some time. And this guy used to get people hammering him all the time, knocking on his door, wanting to buy this car. Now eventually, what had happened was Chris slowly crept up on it. Got to know this man. The man started to like him and said, yep, you know what, I'm going to sell you this VF. So Chris took it home and this is the end result. It's got the magnificent 160 horsepower, 225 slant 6-cylinder engine. Those engines will pull an absolute house down. They've got that much torque, backed by a Torque Flight trans. It's a fantastic cruiser and it's got that original look and feel, just the way I love them. We're here with Dean Black and his absolutely superb HT Holden Brougham. This car has won Best Presented at this Picnic at Hanging Rock show, and believe me, it deserves it. Dean, tell us a little bit about the history of the car and how it got to where it is today.
It was my grandfather's car. He bought it brand new, and I drove it here today. Just done it up to complete standard, all factory, just, yeah, it's stock. So that's it, and yeah, that's all it is.
So effectively, it really is a tribute to your grandfather, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd say so, yeah. You'd be happy to see it, I'd say.
And do you drive it very often?
Yeah, as much as I can. Yeah.
I wouldn't blame you, mate. I'd be in this thing every day. It's an absolute plum of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Dean. It's a beautiful car and an absolute credit to you, and I'm glad to see you've kept it in the family over 3 generations.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Thanks. We're with Brad Joyce here in his HZ Holden. This car is very neat, I'm sure you'll agree, but it's a real, what I'd call, a sleeper. Reason being, it's got a red-hot 355 stroker under the bonnet. What a wild beast this thing must be, mate.
Yeah, no, it goes all right. It's handy to get out in the street and get amongst it, yeah, for sure.
And the car just looks so unassuming. It looks like a stock as a rock HZ. When I walked up here, I thought she's probably got a 202 in there and a really nice family car, but I was heavily mistaken.
Yeah, that was the theme we tried to go with, try and keep it looking like a sleeper as it is, and yeah, sort of have something a bit unsuspecting under the bonnet there, and no, it's good.
Tell us a bit about the engine, mate.
It's a 355 stroker, Harrop crank. It's got the VT heads on it, cup manifold, 750 Holley, 3.5 converter, and Borg Warner 345s in the rear, so no, it gets up and it goes nicely. So.
What a wild ride, mate. Fantastic looking machine. I'm very envious. I'd love to have fun in this thing, and thanks for talking to us.
Cheers, appreciate it. Thanks, mate.
Have a look at this amazing looking 57 two-door, owned by Dove Mercica. It's an incredible car with an incredible story. He actually bought this car from regional Victoria and it was really, really down. Just a bare shell with not a lot in it at all. So he put it on the trailer, took it home and he started stripping this baby down. Built it from scratch, did everything himself. Mechanicals, paint and body, you name it, he did it. So what a lot of satisfaction he gets out of this finished product. It sports a mild 350 small block Chevy and a 4-speed turbo 700 auto trans along with the standard 12-bolt rear end. It's got airbag suspension and these magnificent looking 20-inch wheels. And doesn't it look striking in this yellow? This thing's built to cruise, not built to race, and that's what Dove likes about it. You jump in, you turn the key, you put the family in and go anywhere you want to go, just like today. What a great looking machine and what a fantastic ride. Well, it's been a fantastic show here at Picnic at Hanging Rock. It never fails to impress with over 3,000 cars on display. The biggest problem I have is I can't cover them all. It's impossible in one day. Anyway, viewers, thanks for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time on Gasolene.
Gasoline is proudly brought to you by the following sponsors.